This is PHP files and function. PHP file and functions. So we are going to start with the PHP file inclusion. You may be wondering that what do we refer to as PHP file inclusion? I've already told you that when, okay, let's log into our FTP first. These are the informations. So we go to www directory. Normally, to write a PHP file, all we first need to do is, the first thing is we will create a new file. We are going to name it. Let's call it PHP. Let's name it tutor.php. Let's call the name of our file tutor.php. So right now, to write a PHP code inside this place, I've already told you that you will use this open tag of PHP and this is the closing tag of PHP. So let me just write a small code, a small PHP code. Let me say echo we are the best. So normally when we run this program now, what do we expect? We expect to see we are the best on our web page. So let's save this and run it. Sorry. So let's go to your site. So what's the name of the file? Tutor.php. So let's run it. Tutor.php. Can you see? We are the best. So right now we've created a PHP file with name it what? Tutor.php. So but we are in the section of this tutorial that we are right now is the PHP file inclusion. You can include the content of a PHP file into another PHP file before the server executes it. What we mean by this is this. We have a file right now. The name of the file is tutor.php, and this is the content that is inside it. We are the best. So let's create a new file. Let's create another new file. Let's name this one tutor1.php. So let's save this. So inside this now, let's say echo in technology. So let's save this. By the time we preview tutor1.php, what are we expecting? Tutor1.php, tutor1.php. What are we expecting? We are expecting in what? In technology. So right now, tutor.php as we are the best, and tutor1.php as what? In technology. So, but let's say what you want to write. Let's say what you want to write. Let's say we want to say this is the content we want to print out for our user. We are the best in technology. This is the content we want to print out for our user. We are the best in technology. So this is the content you want to print out. But you will discover that this we are the best is already present inside tutor. We are the best is already present inside tutor.php page. And this in technology is present inside what? Is present inside the tutor1.php. So what we need to do is we need to use PHP file inclusion so that the content that is present in this first page that we created, and what's the content? The content we are the best. This content is going to appear inside this tutor1.php. Do you get what I'm trying to say? The logic is this. When you say PHP file inclusion, what you mean is this. You want the content of a page, you want it to appear in another page. Normally now we have how many pages? We have two pages. We have tutor.php and we have another page, tutor1.php. And we want the content of tutor.php, which it is we are the best. We want it to appear inside tutor1.php, so that the content of the content of tutor.php appear inside the content of tutor1.php. What will we see? We see we are the best, and the content that is there before in tutor1.php is what? In technology. So what we are going to see, we are going to see we are the best in technology full. But right now, because of we have not included the content of tutor.php inside tutor1.php, that is why we are not saying we are the best. But when you run tutor.php, you are still going to see we are the best. But now let's now use PHP file inclusion to include the content of tutor.php inside the content of tutor1.php. So you go to tutor1.php. So there are two ways in which you can use including the content of one page in another page. The first way is what? Making use of the include function up here. So the first method of including a content of a particular page in another page is making use of the what? The include function. Include. So is of this sign. Include. So the name of the page that you want to include is function. You want to include its content will now be here. So right now, what's the name of page that you want to include you want to include this content? You know, normally we are in tutor1.php now, but the name of the page you want to include is content inside tutor1.php is what? Is tutor.php. So we're now going to input here tutor.php. So this is the name of the page you want to include the contents. So the content of tutor.php, you want it to appear inside what? Inside tutor1.php. So we are going to use the include function to make the content of tutor.php appear inside this page. So let's save this now. So by the time you refresh tutor1.php, let's see what we are going to have. By the time you refresh tutor1.php, this tutor1.php, let's refresh it. You will see, can you see? We are the best. Can you see? We are the best. So we are the best now is included by the what? PHP file inclusion. PHP file inclusion, which is use include function. I have told you that there are two ways in file inclusion. There are two ways: the include function and the require function. So we are only dealing with the include function now. So you can see that you have included the content of tutor.php inside this page tutor1.php. So the computer will now, the first thing the computer will say that the computer first read this line. Once the first read this line, we say include tutor.php. It will know that okay, you want to include all the content in tutor.php. So it will first bring everything out, and that's why you are able to see we are the best, because this is all the content in tutor.php. We are the best. Then later, after it reads all the content in tutor.php, the next line to read is what? Is this. It's now going to echo what? It's going to echo in technology. That's why you saw in technology here. So when you talk about the page, the PHP file inclusion, what you are trying to talk about is that maybe you want to include the content that is present in a page. You want to include it in another page. Like this example that we did. The content inside this page, tutor.php, is we are the best. We now want to include this content now. We want to include it inside tutor1.php. So that is how we are able to use the include function. It's already a preset function. All you just need to do is inside this quotes, you will put the name of a page that you want to include inside this tutor1.php, and the name of the page is what? Is tutor.php. So any page that you want to include in another page, you have to know the name first. The name of that page, then you just put it there. So immediately you put it here, now all the content of that page is going to display inside this present page. So there are two pages involved. There is the page number one is the page that you want, is page one is the page that you need the content, is the page in which you need the content. And page 2, in file inclusion there are two pages involved. Page 2 is the page that would make use of the content. So what we are trying to say is this: page 1 now, our page 1 now serves as what? It serves as tutor.php, because this is the page we need its contents. And our page 2 serves as tutor1.php, because this is the page you want the contents of this page 1. We want the content of what? Tutor.php. We want it to appear inside this page. So this one is just an explanation. So what we are just trying to talk about in PHP file inclusion is just that you are trying to make the content of a particular page, the content that is inside it, you want it to appear in another page. So you make use of file inclusion to include the content that is present in that page. Whatever you put inside this file inclusion function, whatever you put here, whatever name of a page that you put here, that means the content of this particular page is going to appear inside this page that it is. That's just what we are trying to see, and that is all about the include function. You can see an example now. Look at this example now. This page that you have now, they say you should create a page, you should name it tests. Let's run this example now. Let's create a page and call it tests. Let's create a new page. Let's go back to our public_html. So let's create a new page, new file. What do we name it? Let's name it with test.php. Test.php. Then let's save it. So we have saved it. So this content now, the content of this file now, let's copy it and paste it here. So this is the content. You will discover that this page now, we create a page, we name it test.php. You discover that we use the include function here to include a page. That's it, we want to include the content of a page. And what's the name of the page that we want to include this content? Menu.php. So normally this our page now, this test.php, this is the content that is inside it. And the content is what? This is an example to show how to include PHP file. This is the content that is inside it. This is the content that is inside it. So right now we use PHP now to include, using include function, we use it to include the content of another page. And the name of the page is what? Menu.php. But note one thing, we have not created this menu.php before. So if we save this program and we run it now, you will discover that the only content that we are going to have in our web page will be this. The reason is because there is nothing like menu.php before. So you have not created any file named menu.php before. So there is no content of menu.php. So by the time the computer is reading this line, it will just see, it will say, okay, the computer will be like, okay, I want to read the content. Now I want to read the content of menu.php. But when it discovers that there is no menu.php in the system, it's going to jump to this line. So that means this is the only output that we are going to see because we didn't have menu.php before. So what we are just trying to say with this example is that we are trying to include the content of menu.php page. We are trying to include the content here inside this page, which are inside test.php. That is the content of menu.php. We are trying to include it. We want the content to appear inside test.php. So if the content of menu.php appear inside the test.php, we also want, and it's all this other one also, we also appear with it. So that means the first thing that will appear is what? Is the content of menu.php. Then later this one is going to appear. That's just what we mean by it. But since menu.php is not present, the page is not already created, then it's going to jump this line, and the only thing that will appear in our page, it will just be this. So let's save this and preview our browser. So it's saved. So let's preview our browser. So what's the name of the page? Test.php. Can you see? So this is the only thing we have. And why do we have this only alone? The reason we have this alone is because of what? Is because there is no file that is bearing menu.php, and there is no content inside it. Since there is no file bearing menu.php, then there is no way computer will be able to read the content of menu.php. But assuming there is a file named menu.php now, with this include that you use, all the content that is inside menu.php, everything is going to display. So now the next thing is, let's go and create menu.php and run our test.php. So let's create another file. Let's name it menu.php. Let's go back to public_html. Let's create a new file. Let's name it menu.php. So the content, paste this one inside the content. Using HTML, you shall know the meaning of this. This is just h file. This is a link. Home, EBS, those. So this is just a link inside HTML. So paste this thing inside it. I believe I have already taught you HTML. This is just linking in HTML. So now let's save. So we have content of what? Now we have the content of, let me go back to the file list. So now we have menu.php in our system. So let's open test.php back. So now we use include menu.php now. So now before there is no menu.php page. That is why you could not see any content that is present in menu.php. But now that we have menu.php page now, and we have the content inside it, by the time the system is reading this code now, this test.php, and it go to this line, it's going to see include menu.php. So it will now bring out the content that is present in menu.php, because now we have menu.php. It's going to read the content and as well as this one. So let's save this and refresh our web page. Let's save it and refresh the test.php. We are not going to refresh the menu.php. So it's the test.php that we are going to refresh, and because in the test.php, that is when you make use of the include function. So we have include menu.php inside it. So let's just refresh this. Can you see? So this is it. So the menu.php now, this is the menu.php. So now this is the menu.php now. So can you see, this is the content that is present in your menu.php. So using the file inclusion, let's go back to the file inclusion. So here now you said include. Let me open public underscore HTML. Let me open menu.php in another tab. Menu.php. This is it. So look at it now. The content of menu.php. This is the content of menu.php. You have home, EBSML, agile, spell, and whenever they click on it, it has a link on it. Can you see? Whenever they click on all this, it has a link, and that is why you are able to see a link. So I can click on all these things. So it will go to the linking that I gave it. So this is just menu.php. But normally I run test.php. But how come menu.php is coming out? Because in test.php I have used an include file inclusion. I have used it to include menu.php. So that is why the first thing is that by the time this thing is reading this and it say include menu.php, so what we mean by include menu.php mean is the same thing as what I want you to display the content of what menu.php. And what is the content of menu.php? This is it. That's why you are able to see it here. So after it's finished displaying it, then it will go to the the next line. That's why you are able to see this in this place. So that's just PHP file inclusion, making use of the include function. So the other function is the require functions. So instead of you to use include, so let's just try require for the example that we did now, and let's see, maybe it's still going to work. Normally we've used include here now, so let's change this thing to require, because I've told you when we are starting that there are two ways in which you can use file inclusion. That is, there are two ways in which you can make the content of a PHP file to show inside another PHP file. There are two ways. The first way is the include function, which I have taught you. Now the second way is the require function. So this include function, let's change it to require and see maybe it will work. Require. So let's save this and rerun our test.php. So let's rerun our test.php. Let's refresh it. Can you see? It still works. So if I want this thing to come again down here, all I just need to do is what I'm saying is that if I want this menu.php to also display down here, all I need to do is this. I will still call on this require. I'll just copy this, then after this test that I want it to display, I will paste it here. So instead of using require, that means you can also use include, because I've told you there are two ways. To file inclusion. The first way is the include function, and the second way is what is the require function. So irrespective of whichever one you use, it's still going to display it. So let's save this and refresh our page and see what you are going to have. Let's refresh. Can you see? So it display here, So this time around, you don't need to direct your user to go back to menu.php. So you can include the functions that is present inside menu.php. You can include it inside another PHP. At least the content that is present in the PHP file, you can include it inside another PHP file, and that is what we did right now. We even make use of the include twice. We first include the content of menu.php. We include it here. We also down here we also include the content of menu.php, but this time around we use the include function, but here we use the require function. So that just tells that the require and the include function, they are almost the same thing. Just that the require function takes all text in a specified file and copy it into the file that uses the include function. If there is any problem in loading a file, then the require function generates a factor error and out is execution of the script. So while the include function take all the text in a specified file and copy it into the file that uses the include function. If there is a problem in loading a file, that then the include function generates a warning, but the script will continue the execution. So what we are just trying to tell you is this: let's say there is an error present in menu.php and use require, then that means there will be a fatal error and your program will not run. It will generate a fatal error, but your program will not run. But if you use an include function to include a particular page, then if there's an error in the page that you include, that is, if there's an error in menu.php, like now there's no error, that's why everything is able to run. But if there's an error in menu.php, then it will generate a warning, but still your program will still run, but it's just going to tell you a warning. So if I were you, I would prefer to be using include, because if I use include, even the page I include, if there is an error in that page, it's still going to give me an error, but my program will still run. But assuming I use the require, if there is an error in the page I include, it's going to tell me a fatal error and my program will not run. So using include pay me as a more than using require. So irrespective of whichever one you use, whether you use the include or use the require, I've proved it for you, it's still your file inclusion will still work. So there are two ways to include a file inside another file. The first way is the require, and the second way is what is the include. So irrespective